assigned to McClellen's office. This is Caroline.
Hello, Carolyn.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. I'd like to get a message to Senator Jennifer McClellen.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Rudy Davis, and I run a Texas Christian prison ministry. And I've befriended a man by the name of Christopher Moltz, M-O-L-T-Z, and he's in a Virginia prison. And
excuse me.
No, bless you, bless you. And I'm
okay, so let's
yep.
start all over.
Okay.
You're Rudy Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what now?
Yeah, now I run a Christian prison ministry in Texas, and I'm aware of the work that Senator McClellen has done with the fishback inmates. In other words, she is aware that certain inmates were sentenced without the jury fully understanding that they didn't have parole, and she's trying to get legislation introduced to get some inmates resentenced because she didn't believe that was fair. And so I'm very supportive of her work in that area. And when I read her website, it said for nonviolent inmates, which I completely understand her focus on that. But I just wanted to bring to her attention the case of Christopher Moltz, M-O-L-T-Z. He's a friend of mine.
Okay, and his first name is Christopher, right?
Yes, ma'am. Christopher Moltz, M-O-L-T-Z.
Okay,
And his story, just so you know, he was 20 years old, and he was with the wrong gang of people, and they discussed a burglary. So he did participate in the conversation about a burglary, and other young men went and committed the burglary, and in the course of the burglary, a man was killed, and it's a very terrible thing. But in Christopher Moltz's case, he is a fishback inmate. He was not present at the burglary. He did not go to the burglary. But he did participate in the conversation. So he's never said that he's innocent. But he did say that, I'm not innocent, but I did participate in the conversation about the burglary. But he never wanted anybody to be murdered, and he certainly didn't tell anybody to murder anybody. But yet somebody was killed. So I understand it's a tragic circumstance. Well, just to let you know, Christopher Moltz, that happened when he was 20 years old. He's now 41 years old. He spent 21 years in prison, and his sentence is life without parole. And unless something changes, he will die in prison for a situation that happened when he wasn't even present, and he was only 20 years old. And he is part of the fishback inmates. So my only request is to please bring the case of Christopher Moltz, if you would, to the attention of Senator Jennifer McClellen. He has a lot of friends and supporters that love him, and he's certainly willing to do his time. He's never claimed that he's innocent. He did participate in a conversation about a burglary, but he never wanted anybody to be murdered. And serving life without parole, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many of my friends, is just much too harsh, for having a conversation when he was 20 years old and hanging out with the wrong group of guys. So I just really wanted to bring his case to the attention of the senator in hopes that we could do something where this... I've talked to him many times on the phone, and the thought of him spending life in prison without parole and dying in prison is just a horrific thought in my way of thinking.
Right.
And,
okay. So you have spoken to her about this case?
No, ma'am. I've spoken to...
I mean, in general.
No. I've never spoken to the senator, but I have spoken to the prisoner. The prisoner, Christopher Moltz, is a very good friend of mine.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I just want her to be aware of his case.
And you're...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass this information over to her about his case.
Okay.
Now you're with the Christian Prison Ministries. Where?
I'm a chaplain. And our Christian Prison Ministry is based in Texas. And I deal with over.
You're with a Christian.
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to get where you're from. You said you're from a Christian ministry
in Texas.
In prison ministries in Texas, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to. Yeah.
Okay.
Which facility is Christopher Moltz in?
It's in Virginia, and I can look it up in just 2 seconds. I should know that off the top of my head, but it's I deal with 70.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get as much.
No, I certainly appreciate you asking that, and I'm going to find out. I've got it right here, and I deal with 70 prisoners, so I don't have them all memorized. I do have a list, though, and I'm going to bring it up in 2 seconds. I know it's Virginia.
Okay, so Is there a name of your Christian prison
Yes,
ministry?
year of Jubilee, and Jubilee is spelled with one E, just like it is in the King James Bible. So everybody wants to spell it with two E's, but we spell it with one E. Year of Jubilee Christian Prison Ministry. And my name is Rudy Davis. And Moltz, I'm looking him up. I almost have him. Here he is. He's in the Sussex, SUSXEX2 State Prison. And that's in Waverly, Virginia. Sussex 2 State Prison, Waverly, Virginia. And, there's a lot of people that once they realize his case, they just think that life without parole, because he'll never get a chance for parole his whole life. And he spent 21 years in prison already. He's 41 years old now. He's never had any bad write-ups. He's been a very good behavior, a good prisoner. And just for him to never get a chance to ever get out of prison because of the fishback situation, the one that Senator McClellen is working on, I just wanted to encourage her, and I really thank her for the work that she's doing. But I don't want her to overlook Chris Moltz, because there's a lot of us that care a good deal about this young man, and we want him to get out of prison.
Okay, there. Okay. So, can I have a good number for you?
You bet. 972.
972.
Yes, ma'am. 839. 9848.
And, okay, because you're calling me on a different number.
It's probably coming through a wireless system, but I am calling you from that number, but I'm hooked into a wireless system right now, and I'm making it's called wireless calling, so it may transfer the number, but that is my number, and I always answer it. If I don't answer it, my wife answers it.
972.
Yep.
Sure, 972-839-9848.
Yes, ma'am.
And your name is Rudy Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
And your ministry is called Year of Jubilee Christian Prison Ministries.
Yes, ma'am. And the message,
correct?
Yes, ma'am. All of that is absolutely correct, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. But the main thing is Christopher Moltz, who spent 21 years in prison, and that's really the situation that I would like her to look into, because if she reads about his case, I think she'll agree with many people that life without parole is way too harsh of a sentence, and he is part of the fishback inmates. I think that's a critical part that should be written down as well. The fishback inmates. He's part of that.
Well, that's her. Yeah, bill on the fishback inmates. And you are thinking that he is part of that, correct?
He is. He's told me many times that he is. My only concern is when I read the article on the Senator McClellen's website, it says for nonviolent criminals. And see, he was not there when the killing occurred. He was not even present. But he did participate in a conversation, so he realizes that he's not innocent. He's never claimed to be innocent. But life without parole, if you just think about that statement, he's 20 years old. I mean, if he lives to be 70, 75, 80, that could be 60 years in prison for a crime that happened that he was not even present at, and he was only 20 years old. And
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that you think he's applicable to that fishback.
Yes, ma'am.
Deal regarding the fishback.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because of I'm going to pass this along because I think that bill also talks about the fact, I think Jennifer McClellen stated that in her summary, that, parole was prohibited in 1995.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And he was serving time prior to that.
Yes.
So
and he's been in prison 21 years, and his jury did not know that he would never become eligible for parole. His jury was not aware of that. And so we believe that his sentence...
his jury was not aware of what?
His jury was not aware of the fact that he would never be eligible for parole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he's told me, and so that's a big concern. I mean, if you're on the jury and you sentence somebody, to a crime, and you're not aware that they'll never get parole, that could, that could somehow impact the sentencing. So, and I know that's what the main concern is, I believe, of the fishback inmates, or at least that's part of my understanding. And so,
yeah, because the jury didn't know for 5 years.
Right.
The parole.
Right.
The parole was prohibited, that they abolished that. So, like I said, that's Senator McClellen's stand on it, and I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much.
All right, so I'm going to make them.
Yep. I just wanted to say.
I'm going to make a note of this.
Okay. And I'm certainly very thankful, too, for Senator McClellen's attention to this matter. There's so few politicians that will care about inmates. And being in the prison ministry, I recognize that her work here, it may not get her a lot of votes, but I think it'll get her a lot of rewards in heaven. So I thank you for your time and your time today to talk about Christopher.
Well, I agree with you because my husband and I have gone to the prisons ourselves because he's a pastor, so
Amen.
I understand your point.
Amen.
We've gone to prison here and to the women's prison here and prayed for people.
Well, praise God. Praise God. You know, another thing being in Texas, just to share with you, we've talked to women on death row in Texas, and they don't even let the women in death row have access to phones. They can't even call their legal counsel. And the rules in Texas are just crazy. There's so many changes to our prison system and criminal justice system I would like to see in this country, but you and I probably could talk about that for hours. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I appreciate this, and I'm going to pray that justice will be done
Amen.
for Christopher.
Amen. I thank you so much. That's all we can ask for. God bless you, Carolyn. Thank you so much for that. And
bless you too
okay.
now.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.